What's up, folks? I'm Private Hudson, and this is Headliner. In this game, you work for a newspaper, and your job is to select what articles will get published for the day. So yeah, this is kind of like Fake News the game. However, do keep in mind that it's only $3. Don't expect it to be deep or long. As a matter of fact, it only takes around 45 minutes to finish it, but it does have several different endings, depending on what articles you publish. And it did keep me interested enough to play through it 3 times. Headliner takes place in a fictional future. The country you live in is extremely proud of the fact that they're the first to have a majority population of genetically modified people. The non-modified minority known as purists are heavily discriminated against. There's a yearly festival that's about to take place just a few days away. Meanwhile, a neighboring country gets invaded, and your own country starts pondering on increasing security to make sure its people are safe. These 4 topics are all that you will be covering in Headliner. The day starts out with you arriving to work. You then approve or reject several articles. Depending on what day it is, there may be limitations as to how many articles you can approve. The articles will all deal with the previously mentioned 4 topics. Usually the articles about the festival will be neutral. The other topics, on the other hand, will present you with biased articles, and you pick which bias you want to publish. For example, you can publish an article that states that purists are a burden on society as their job performance is worse compared to the genetically modified. Or you can publish the opposite, stating that by employing purists, you're increasing diversity. And purists have lower medical costs, and there are some specific illnesses that only target the modified. You can be a humanitarian and welcome refugees from neighboring war-torn countries and even offer them jobs. Or you can tell them to piss off Galixia first. Your supervisor wants you to put a spin in order to attract the most amount of readers and entices you to do so with the possibility of a huge job promotion. The way you handle these articles, though, is up to you. After work, you then walk home in an extremely odd-looking 2-dimensional segment. Now, this is a cheap game. Not only is it $3, but after I beat it, I checked out the credits, and pretty much every art and sound asset is available for free online. That would explain why this 2D segment looks completely out of place compared to everything else in the game. As you're walking home, you overhear people's conversations. They're basically responding to the news. Finally, you reach home and you have dinner with your spouse and daughter. Now, for a game that's about publishing articles, I have no idea why the dev decided to make that the smallest part of the game. With each passing day, the amount of articles that you can publish is less and less. Not only that, but it doesn't even sound like you're publishing articles. It feels like you're establishing new laws. The reactions of the stories that you publish are instant, and you'll see riots in the streets, people getting killed, literally seconds after you publish the story, left work, and you're walking on your way home. And people will always blame you. They'll blame you and your newspaper and not the government. I mean, publish an article about welcoming refugees and giving them jobs? Well, it's your fault for publishing it. Like, what? How? Why not blame the government for enacting the policy, you know? You see what I mean? This is less of like a newspaper sim and more of like a crappy government sim. Some nightclub with modified people has a sex fetish for purist women? Publish that, and the second you walk out of your building, someone will be throwing a Molotov cocktail at the club. I mean, this is just ridiculous. All these reactions happen seconds after publishing something. They're so extreme that they are laughable. The dinner segment with the family is the most pointless and least interesting one. You talk with your spouse about how the day went. Sure, they may ask you a question or two, but your answer never matters. The scenes are almost always identical on each of the playthroughs that I had. Maybe there's a line or two that's changed depending on what story was published. And that's the game in a nutshell. This routine goes on for a little over a week. Once the festival ends, that's pretty much when the game's done. And depending on the stories you publish, things can get crazy and violent, or peaceful and boring. It's definitely worth replaying at least once if you do intend on buying it. So yeah, Headliner isn't great. It's not terrible either. Again, it's only $3, and there isn't really anything else out there that's similar to it. The concept is great and original, but the scope of this project and its budget were pretty much non-existent. I didn't encounter any bugs, but there are some spelling errors here and there. It's also weird that during the 2D segment, the last conversation you overhear is by the same exact people every single day. But every single day, their sprites are replaced with different ones. That's kind of sloppy. This would be something great for a larger indie team to work on, especially since fake news has been so prevalent lately. It really needs something like a Papers, Please treatment. Have the story take place over the course of 30 days, with tensions and conflicts rising slowly over time. The daily escalations and violence in Headliner make this game feel more like a comedy than an actual critique of modern media.